Hey guys, what's up? It's Zyflin here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Fusilai, the secondary weapon that came with Gara and the PoE update. It's actually throwing nice, well, throwing shards of glass, which is pretty cool, as your regular single fire, fully automatic throwing knife style, I guess. And we also have an alt fire, which throws a lot of them at the one time. Well, it's meant to be free, but because we have multi-shot on, we throw like a lot more. But it takes free ammo, put it that way, and that's all you really need to know. Downsides to the weapon, it has a very low magazine capacity. So, if it were me, I don't know the Riven disposition for these weapons, but if it were up to me, I would take any Riven that has like plus damage, like just the damage stat, or plus elemental damage, like toxin or electricity, and then plus magazine size. That way, like, you're upping your damage, and you're also, like, playing to the weapon's weakness in a way, because you're trying to, like, completely get rid of that weakness. Because I feel like if this had a bigger magazine capacity, this would probably be my favorite set of throwing stars in the game. And that's what Riven mods are here for, to kind of, like, make it so I can actually say that I enjoy using these weapons. Because of the low magazine capacity, like, the weapon's fun, don't get me wrong, but I can't see myself enjoying playing with them simply because of that low magazine size, right? Because you're going to have to reload, like, every time you're about to finish off an enemy, if that makes any sense, at higher levels. So, yeah, that's going to be kind of annoying. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the build. It's a basic crit build, so we'll go through the stats, and we'll go through the alt fire stats and stuff like that. So with all my mods on, we have 100 accuracy, easy peasy. Crit chance of 66%, crit multiplier 3.6, fire rate of 4.53, which is decent. Magazine size of 6. Noise is silent. Reload speed is 0.8 seconds. Status is 61.7%. And this is all on your regular fire mode. And we have puncture stat of 275, slash stat of 413. No impact at all, which is pretty decent in my opinion. We have heat damage, 1,137. And then we have corrosive damage, 1,240. So this weapon isn't going to be good versus shields at all. You're going to want to bring in a frame or just another weapon which can get rid of shields. Maybe even try using shield disruption if you're going up against Corpus with this weapon. And then it should be good to go. Because, I mean, it's primarily slash and puncture, which is good. Versus enemies don't have any resistances to slash, because, I mean, it's a slash weapon because it's ice shards and stuff like that. So it just kind of makes sense. But we'll move on to the semi-auto here, or the alt fire. We have accuracy of 100, even though it doesn't really feel like it. The crit chance is rather low at 8.6. Crit multiplier is still high at 3.2 though. Fire rate is 2.4, which is, I mean, that's meh in comparison to the 4.53. We have the magazine size of 6 still. We have the noise, which is alarming for some reason. Not too sure why. We also have a reload speed of 0.8, status of 72.6, and then we obviously have the trigger that says semi-auto here as well. And then we can also see the damage numbers. We have puncture 826, slash is 1,240, heat 3,410, and then corrosive 3,720. So you actually deal like more overall damage, like, just on its own by using the alt fire. But keep in mind, the alt fire is going to consume 3 of your blades every time you do it, right? So your DPS is probably going to be lower using this fire. Of course, it's going to be better for taking down, like, maybe groups of enemies that are like level 50-ish, just by throwing all these out and, like, maybe landing a few shots on them. But I wouldn't use that fire versus the higher level enemies, and I'll show you why in a second. So in this video, we're going to be testing these out with a corrosive build versus a heavy gunner. I didn't even go through the build, but let's just go ahead and spawn this guy in at level 150, and then go ahead and make myself invincible. Not going to be using any abilities. We're just going to jump in and see how fast we can kill him, just by landing headshots with the single fire here. So this is your regular fire, which you're going to be using more often than not whenever it comes to, just generally playing with the weapon. This is the first thing you're going to try out whenever you pick up the weapon, pretty much. So let's just go ahead and do that test again, because I feel like if I get a little bit closer, I might be able to get more damage out of it, because I don't feel like I was hitting him in the head all the time. Of course, this is like ideal situation, like you're just focusing on the one enemy, headshots only, things like that. You're landing your crits, etc. You're invincible. You can actually tank a few bullets, things like that. So it does take a while for us to kill him, and that kind of sucks, but I mean, it's still decent. That's a level 150 enemy. Keep that in mind, with a shit ton of armor, and we're stripping that with the corrosive damage on our Fusilai here, so that's pretty decent, you know. Plus, on top of that, you have the crit chance, which just means as you strip that armor away, you're going to be able to deal more damage. Now, that was with basically like your elemental combo build, right? So you have your one elemental combo, and then you have another element on top of that. So versus that heavy gunner, we actually had 100% extra damage because we were running the corrosive, which gives us 75% extra damage. And then we have the heated charge, which gives us 25% extra damage, which is pretty nice, right? What you could do, however, is you could take off prime heated charge and then maybe up for a hydraulic crosshairs. And what this will do is this will basically make it so that you're going to get like crits more often, which is going to basically like help your DPS out, right? So all you have to do is get headshots, which sounds kind of meh, but if you are running a crit weapon, you want to be getting your headshots anyway, because that's going to increase your damage. Now you see the DPS change there, and we've took a lot more damage out of him because we're critting more often. So I don't know, to me it just feels faster using hydraulic crosshairs over just using that third element. So you can see the change there. I thought that was pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and test out the alt fire next. The alt fire is interesting because I like to use it versus like low level large groups of enemies. Don't like it too much versus like the level 150 guy. What I treat it as is kind of like just like, okay, you can proc status effects with this, and that's really all I do with it. So you could maybe potentially strip all of an enemy's armor away by doing this. Obviously, depending on the enemy level, it may take a long time. But I just feel like this is an inefficient way of killing an enemy. Of course, we're still going to kill him, but we're not going to strip his armor away entirely. We're only going to strip it away a little bit, and you'd probably be better off just like using the little throwing stars, like the single fire, at least in my opinion. I don't know. But whenever you take into consideration that you'll be pairing this with like Warframe's abilities and stuff like that, so like let's just use Gara as an example here because it is kind of her weapon. Use our 3, use our 2 on the enemy, and then use it on us. And let's just go for the headshots. Now you'll see that we deal a lot more damage, you know, a lot more damage because we have the Warframe ability procced on him. So it's not like this weapon is bad or anything. I really like the weapon. That was a level 150. Keep that in mind. Just like by making use of your Warframe abilities, you're able to up the DPS off like pretty much any weapon. So, you know, whenever we're doing tests versus an enemy with like a weapon or whatever, we're just seeing the raw damage output off the weapon. That's fine and everything, but in an actual like gameplay environment, like you're gonna have your Warframe abilities going. Hell, you might even have buffs from your friends. Maybe someone is playing like Banshee or something. Like it's just gonna one-shot an enemy anyway at that point. They're playing Harrow. Like Harrow of these things should be insane. Like you can increase the crit chance with Harrow. Let's just go ahead and test it out. Actually, they look really cool with Harrow. But we're gonna go ahead spawn in this guy and use Harrow's ultimate whenever I get enough energy for it. If I can jump up and get it. There we go. And basically what you do with Harrow is you use your 4. You take a buttload of damage. And then what happens is whenever the timer runs out, you're going to get your crit chance buff, right? So that'll make this weapon deal even more damage. We're in red crit territory right now. So, of course, that's the Warframe ability kind of doing that. But, I mean, like I said, you're going to be using your Warframe abilities anyway. Like, you'll have things like Octavia's Amp, Harrow's buff, things like that going, which will just increase the damage of pretty much any weapon you're using. So, you know, it's not like the weapons are bad. But what I would recommend is getting a Riven mod, which will give you increased magazine size if you want the weapon to be fun, of course. Like, get a Riven mod that gives increased magazine size and you know, some sort of like other stats. So let's say, for example, maybe get one that gives you over 120% multi-shot and then plus like 50% magazine size or something. That would be pretty cool. Get one that gives you plus, you know, 250% damage or plus magazine size, or get one that gives you plus 100 toxin damage and plus 50% magazine size or something like that there. I'm not sure of the actual Riven disposition at the minute, but if it's high, that should be possible. And I'm assuming it will be high because like the weapon isn't insane, right? So you definitely want to get something that makes the weapon insane, if that makes any sense. It's not like it's going to be like a god weapon, but I just think it's a really cool weapon, and I think you could potentially make a lot of use out of it and have a lot of fun with it if you were to go ahead and invest in a Riven mod. But Other than that, that's really it. Like, it's a really cool weapon. I really enjoy using it. I like the design of it, and I feel like it might become my favorite throwing star, I guess, or throwing secondary weapon. I'm planning to get a ribbon mod for it, which gives me more magazine size. That's really my only gripe of it. But other than that, that's pretty much it. That horror animation is dope. And if you liked the video, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.